you're hearing this, it means I survived long enough to tell it. There's something about the graveyard shifts that changes a person. The stillness, the silence, the sense that the rest of the world is sleeping while you're just there, cleaning up after it. I thought I'd seen the worst of it working night shifts as a petrol station and warehouses, but nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for Building B. That place isn't just empty at night, it's waiting. I got the job through a temp agency. No interview, no references, just a phone call, a date and an address. $22 an hour, night janitor position, government property. I should have asked more questions, but rent was due and desperation doesn't wait. They told me it was a disused civil office, old war era architecture, hadn't been fully operational since the late 80s. Just mop the floors, empty the bins, don't touch the archives, and stay out of room B12. That was the only real instruction. Room B12 was sealed due to asbestos and structural damage. No problem, I wasn't being paid to poke around, but I remember thinking, even then, that they said it too quickly, like it was rehearsed. The first night, the guard at the front desk didn't ask for ID, just buzzed me in and handed me a laminated floor map. Try not to wander, some of the lights are dodgy. He didn't tell me his name, he didn't look me in the eye. The building was massive, grey concrete, narrow corridors, old security cameras bolted to every corner like the place was still watching itself. And the smell, dust, damp metal, and something else, something off. I started on the top floor and worked my way down. Floors were fine, bags emptied, toilets reeked, but nothing worse than usual. Then I reached the basement, where room B12 was. The hallway leading to it was colder. I noticed it as soon as I stepped down there. It was like I stepped into a fridge. The light above the door flickered constantly. The placard had been scratched down the middle, like someone had tried to remove the number, but the outline was still visible. B12. The door was bolted, chain across it, rusted padlock, but still, I felt it. A pull, not like curiosity, like gravity. As I turned to leave, I heard it. A dragging sound. Soft, slow, like something pulling across the floor from inside the room. I stopped. I held my breath, and then I heard a voice, faint. Still here? My name wasn't on any staff list. No one knew me there, and now I'm not sure I ever really left. I told myself I imagined the voice, just old pipes, wind, echoes in concrete. But the next night, I avoided the basement completely. I stuck to the upper floors. I kept my headphones in and tried to pretend I was cleaning a hospital instead of a dead building built to keep secrets. But as I passed the dusty corridor lined with inactive monitors, something caught my eye. One of the security screens was on. It shouldn't have been. There was no power indicator, no hum, just an image, grainy, black and white, of a janitor mopping the hallway. It was me. Same uniform, same cart, only I wasn't in that hallway. I leaned in. The figure stopped mopping, turned to face the camera, and smiled. My smile. And then the feed cut. I ripped my headphones out. Silence. And somewhere far below me, maybe 2 floors down, I heard the mop bucket wheels turning. Slow, deliberate, like someone was mirroring my route 1 floor beneath. By the 4th night, the building felt different. The air was heavier, and lights stayed off no matter how many times I flipped the switch. And someone kept pacing, wet footprints leading from room B12 up the stairs. I stopped cleaning. I started watching instead. At 3:14 AM, I saw the door to room B12 open. just slightly, enough for a sliver of darkness to spill out. I should have walked away, but I didn't. The inside of room B12 was blackened, like it had been burned once and never been cleaned. But in the far corner was a janitor's cart, identical to mine, and in the middle of the floor was a mirror, standing, framed, completely out of place. I stepped closer, and in the reflection I saw myself, only not quite. This version of me was thinner, pale, eyes sunken, hands blistered and raw. He waved and whispered, "My shift's almost done." I ran. When I returned the next night, something had changed. The front desk was empty, no security guard, no lights, no floor map. I walked in anyway, and immediately I felt watched, not by cameras, by me. Every reflective surface showed my body moving wrong, too slowly, lagging, like I was being studied by something that hadn't worn skin in a long time. When I reached the basement, the door to B12 was wide open. Inside, the mirror stood alone. No janitor's cart, no burned walls, just my own reflection. Only this time, it wasn't mimicking me, it was cleaning, moving mop and bucket exactly how I had on night one. I whispered, "What do you want?" The reflection looked up, smiled, and said, "Break's over." I don't remember leaving. I woke up at home, uniform still on, shoes damp, no text from the agency, no payment. I tried to call them, the number was dead. I drove back to the building, but it wasn't there. The street existed, but the building, the entire government complex, was just an overgrown lot. No structure, no signage, just weeds and concrete slabs where the foundation once was. I checked my phone's step tracker. I'd walked 17,000 steps that night, all within Building B. If you're hearing this, it means I survived long enough to tell it. But the truth is, I don't think I came back, because lately, when I walk past mirrors, I see someone else wearing my uniform, and he still smiles, and mops, and waits. Because some buildings don't close, they just hire replacements, and some jobs you never clock out of. My first job out of uni wasn't glamorous. I didn't expect it to be. I needed money and I needed it fast, so I took the first offer that didn't involve fast food or a high-vis vest. It was a night desk position at a boutique hotel in North Yorkshire. A quiet place, 10 rooms, old brick facade, iron lanterns, and ivy crawling up every window like green veins. They called it the elderly house. They didn't call it haunted, but they should have. The manager, Mrs. Venn, was ancient in the way that buildings are ancient, still standing, but warped by time. She gave me a skeleton key and a laminated binder with instructions. Don't assign room 313, it's out of service. I asked why. She smiled like a crack forming in old porcelain and said, "It's not for guests." No further explanation. I checked the system, and sure enough, 313 was greyed out, but it was there, top floor, far end of the hall. That night, the hotel was mostly empty. Only 2 guests, room 201 and room 308. At midnight, I started the rounds. Polished brass, logged wake-up calls, refilled tea bags. Normal. Then the phone rang. I answered. Front desk. Silence. Then a whisper, dry and strained. "It's still me." Click. I checked the extension. Room 313, but that room was unassigned. I walked up to the 3rd floor, slowly. Corridor dead silent. Carpet swallowed every step. The lights above room 313 flickered. One long, one short, like Morse code. The door was closed. No sound inside, no light beneath the frame. I knocked. No answer. I returned to the front desk, but the phone was already ringing again. "It's me. I'm still here." The voice sounded like mine. I checked the logs again. Room 313 now showed as occupied. Name, T. Bishop. That's me. But I hadn't entered anything, and when I clicked on the record, it said the check-in time was last week. I printed it out, held it in my hands. It was my signature, my writing, even my debit card had been used. I stared at the booking ID, then the phone rang again. This time, louder, urgent, same extension. "I don't want to do this again. Please, make it stop. Why do I keep checking in?" I climbed the staircase with a brick in my chest. Door 313 was still closed, but this time, there were scratch marks on the wood. Not fresh, not violent, just shallow little arcs around the handle, like someone had tried to grip it 1,000 times but always slipped. And below the door, a letter, folded, addressed to me. I opened it. There were 2 sentences written in my own handwriting. "You need to go back down. Don't let them open the door." Then the knob turned. I ran. When I reached the desk, room 201 was vanished from the system. Room 308 was marked as unavailable, and the only room listed as active was 313. And the note on my desk simply read, "You're doing great on your first shift." But it wasn't in my handwriting, and neither was the log beneath it. A guest list that stretched back years with one repeated entry. T. Bishop, room 313, over and over. Different check dates, same name, same room. I went to the CCTV room, footage loaded automatically, and I watched the screen as a figure checked in every night. Same clothes, same bag, same smile. Me. Over and over, looping, never aging, just repeating. I don't know how long I've been here. The clocks are wrong, the calendar won't turn. Guests come and go, but I stay behind the desk. And every night, room 313 rings. Sometimes it's a whisper, sometimes it's screaming, but it's always me, begging to leave. I tried once to walk out the front door, but the handle led me back to the hallway outside 313. And now, when I sleep, I dream of being a guest, a different one, checking in with hope, leaving with silence, and always, always ending up behind the desk again. If you're hearing this, it means I survived long enough to tell it. But I know the truth now. I'm not the newest employee. I'm the last guest who didn't leave. And room 313, it isn't a room, it's a loop. And the only way to end it is to check someone else in. My first proper job wasn't glamorous. Bar back at a rural pub out near Ludlow, one of those half-timbered coaching inns older than the country itself. Low ceilings, crooked beams, warm ale and colder regulars. It was called the Lamb and Cauldron. Locals called it the Lamb. No one remembered why. I was 18, fresh out of school, trying to save up for uni. The job sounded perfect. Evening shifts, simple work, good tips. And honestly, I was just happy to be somewhere that didn't reek of vinegar and chip oil. They trained me in an hour flat, pull pints, keep the till balanced, and smile when you can. But there was one thing the landlord, Malcolm, made absolutely clear. Never stay past last orders. Once the bell rings, you clock out and go. I thought he meant it metaphorically. I was wrong. The regulars were exactly what you'd expect. Old men in flat caps nursing bitter. A married couple who never looked at each other. A tall man with a limp who always sat with his back to the fireplace. They weren't rude, they just seemed faded. Like memories of people rather than people themselves. I noticed something odd about the way they talked. They told the same stories, word for word, every night, no variation. "We told that boy not to drive the B437, but he did it anyway. Funny one, the storm of 78, it took the roof clean off the vicarage. You know they never did find her shoes." I thought it was just drunken looping, but then I saw them make the same gestures, same eye rolls, same chuckles, time to the second, like they were stuck on a script. Every customer ordered the same thing for their first drink, a pint of bitter, even the woman with the gin voice, even the uni lads passing through, every single one. "Start me with a pint of bitter," like it was a ritual. One night, I asked Malcolm about it. He paused, drying a glass, and said, "The pub remembers, you'll see." Then he stared at the mirror behind the bottles and whispered, "Eventually, it'll remember you too." It started small. I'd sweep the same bit of floor twice, refill a glass I hadn't poured, hear the same joke from a man who swore he'd just told it for the first time. Then it got worse. I'd hand someone their change, look away, and they'd be holding out their hand again, exact same way. Then the nights began to feel shorter, not because I was busier, but because the clock never changed. I once checked my phone at 9:03 PM, an hour later, still 9:03. One night, I walked into the cellar to change a keg, and I found it already changed, but not by Malcolm. The pipes were older, copper, greasy, and covered in names, carved with fingernails: Thomas, Neil, Isabel, Max, Harper, Malcolm. I ran my hand over the most recent one, my own name, fresh. And when I came back upstairs, Malcolm was gone, and the regulars were staring at me, not angry, just expectant, like I passed some kind of test. Now I don't go home. I don't even remember if I had one. The front door leads back into the kitchen door leads back to the cellar, and every night the same people come in, sit in the same seats, order the same pint. I still serve, I still smile, but I'm not sure how long it's been. A week? A year? There's no sun anymore, just dim yellow light and the smell of spilled ale. And sometimes I hear a voice, mine, saying, "Start me with a pint of bitter." If you're hearing this, it means I survived long enough to tell it, but I didn't really, because pubs don't close when the customers leave. They close when the staff stop showing up, and someone always needs to work their first shift. The lamb remembers, and now, so do I.